Today I want to talk about Vidya Token, a multi-purpose gamified token that's looking to reward its token holders through staking rewards, building utility around the token, and being a part of an ecosystem you actually want to be a part of through making games you want to play. Now, we've heard a few of these claims before, but seeing as this project is actually basing its first game around a first-person shooter, this is really something that caught my eye. The real question is, does this have what it takes to be our next crypto moonshot? Welcome back to another episode of Finance Opinion, where I'm on a mission to find the craziest altcoin moonshots the cryptoverse has to offer. Now, today we're going to be talking about Vidya Token, which is a relatively unknown and relatively small market cap token out there in the metaverse. It's a metaverse gamified play, as I mentioned in my intro, and it wants to build an ecosystem around a play to earn model and a staking model that we've kind of seen before, a cyclical utility around the token that rewards people for holding the token and maintaining liquidity inside of that ecosystem. Other than this, another really cool feature that we have seen a few other projects adopting is going to be all the hard work they put into the development of their first game. They are going to allow those resources and those smart contracts to be available to other developers so they can utilize the ecosystem too. I'm very bullish on ecosystems that are setting up bigger plays beyond one video game. Now, I know a lot of places can make a game and it can produce a studio that could go off and make huge things like Blizzard or any of the major normal centralized gaming studios we have out there today. But I like to see ones right off the bat making development, because we're gonna see this space grow really fast. And I think if they develop a back end that allows other people to get involved, other players and or other producers and developers, this is gonna be huge, because they will want to try and find out more mechanisms to incentivize them to come into that ecosystem. And this is gonna reward the players or the holders of Vidya Token. This they have mentioned in a couple of their pieces of documentation that talks about how that ecosystem, again, driving through the generator, they will be able to leverage the portion of the fees, because they will have it based on all the games across the entire Vidya ecosystem. It wouldn't be just making money off of your platform. So you are incentivized as another developer to jump on board, because you will be getting rewards from other games already on the platform. And it was mentioned somewhere that you can actually get the rewards from a player standpoint by just spectating an actual match. So there can be betting places on matches. There'll probably be reward pools there. So it looks like that pari-mutuel betting system, the reward pool, is going to be a big portion of this that will probably drive major adoption down the road. Now, that's pretty much the long and short of what Vidya is looking to offer. I think they got a little bit of work on their hands in the respect that we have seen some of these aspects incorporated into other altcoin projects already in the crypto space, but if they go in the direction they are already going, there's a few bullish signs here that I really like, and I think from a visual standpoint, they're really nailing it. And we're gonna take a look over here in the screens in a second, but we gotta talk about a couple of the negatives. So the two major negatives I have on this project right off the bat that I gotta bring to you right at the front is the team, and really how the team is preparing information for the public. Now, I'm gonna dive into the team a little bit deeper into this, but the second part with the information I can't dive into because there isn't that much information. Now, what information I have got has come generally from a Medium post or Medium blog that has allowed some information over the past of the course year. They did some okay updates, which I appreciate, and there was an attempt to inform people across the board about what it is they're doing and the progress they're making. But I really don't have any white paper. There isn't a white paper that I could find. Now, please leave a comment down below if you can help me find a white paper. I would be more than happy to give it a second shake. I also couldn't find any tokenomics, like actual where the supply of all these tokens ended up. Because when we get to the end looking at the price chart, you're gonna be starting to see some things that are a little abnormal for this stage of a project. So I would love to know if you have anything that I missed. This is that time to let me know, hey, you missed this, it's right there. Let's do that. Drop that below, because I couldn't come up with them. And honestly, from an investor standpoint, Tokenomics is a massive place, because who has vested interest in a coin, in a project, in a token, is a very big deal. So this is a huge negative that I really have to bring up to you up front. Now, I don't want to let this completely derail the rest of this little review and looking into this progress. So I'm gonna show you as if I'm just talking about it from the points I want to get. I will dive into these a little bit deeper, but really that's a big point that might have stopped a lot of people from even wasting their time on the rest of this video. So I wanted to get that out of the way. This is the perfect opportunity to let you know that this is not financial advice. It's just an opinion, and I'm some YouTube guy, so it's for educational and entertainment purposes only. All of that said, if you don't have time to go all the way through this and really vet everything I have to say, I'm gonna leave timestamps down below for you, speed that process up and jump around to find exactly what you're looking for. With all that, let's head over to the screens. Okay, so we've headed on over to the screens and we're about to jump into the landing page, which is one of my favorite portions of this project so far. It's really enticing and really exciting, but I wanted to explain to you kind of what it is they're developing. So the first person shooter is called Aimbot, and it has a cyberpunk Tron feel. It's very wireframe, 3D, bright neon colors. It's very Quake-esque feel. Like imagine a rudimentary version of Quake that they're kind of building up from the ground up, and it's gonna be browser-based, which we're expecting this point at Web3 and a lot of these crypto games. So kind of excited about that, but that gives you the understanding of what we're going to be looking at when we dive into the first part of this. So jumping right in, you can kind of see how that ecosystem is translated through. So they're carrying a theme, and that theme seems to be carrying all the way through. This is the landing page. This is where we are dumped off right away. And actually none of these windows are open, but kind of giving away, if you notice anything, it actually looks like it has icons like a desktop, and it actually has a start menu down here. And I'm sorry this isn't bigger, it's a 4K screen, but this is incentive for you to go check it out yourself, which I think everyone should, because this is exactly what I imagine Web3 to be. This is what it should be. This is what more projects should be doing, getting me involved with a fun interface, building this up, getting me excited about the project, and in a fun way, different way. This is Web3, this is the future of the internet, and I like seeing this other than your standard scroll down website with just information. So that I'm really bullish on, because I think it really gets me into character. I enjoy this. This is something like I imagined the Neo Tokyo, which is why I think this might also do very well in the crypto space. I know I've talked about games not doing so well because they go down too much of a niche, but in the crypto world, this is definitely gonna do good for crypto heads, because places like Neo Tokyo, Alex Becker, pushing, massive YouTube influencer out there, his Neo Tokyo, this is what I imagine it to be. And their NFTs are in this sort of vein. So it looks like this is gonna do well as far as crypto heads are concerned. So what we're given right off the bat is, you can see these icons on the top left actually, and it actually works just like a browser. They're single clicks, which is fantastic. I was double clicking it to begin with. These are their trailers, which I would have played at the earlier piece on, and you can play them simultaneously. You can have the windows open. You have a Wolfenstein emulator, so you can see these guys are gonna be a bit of memesters. You're gonna have some Easter eggs throughout. And they even hinted to a point inside of one of their documentations where there used to be a command line where you could kind of search other things up, and I imagine it probably was the Wolfenstein. They probably just didn't have enough people playing it, so they made it straightforward. But taking some of this away, so visually it's not assaulting you, a place you're really going to be directed to is going to be the start menu, and that's where you're going to find most of your direction from here. In your settings, you can change all the theme of the OS itself, but you've really got your social. These are their main platforms down here: Twitter, Discord, and Telegram. I'll speak to those and won't actually go to them. So the Twitter is pretty straightforward. We have a few occasional posts and some updates there. We don't have a lot of feed. They're very small. They only have about 5,500 people actually following them, so that's a very small amount of people. The Telegram, kind of useless. There's not much of updates in there, and this kind of portion goes to talking about the team. Wasn't thrilled with having a Telegram that was really just with a bunch of memes and scams in there. It seemed like not them promoting scams, but people trying to get them to like join up as a partner. Kind of useless information. I scrolled for a while too to try and find some, and there's like one moderator in there who seems to be huge in their platform, and he just kind of was like talking to people, and that's it. It wasn't much going on. The Discord is okay. The value in there isn't something that I would really point to as massive. It's actually got a few points in there where people are talking about the Vidya token that I would check out, the Vidya Flux at the very bottom. A lot of it's got some memes and playing around, just some social place to hang out. But there's a few points in there that they do make, is that they've had their tokens, they've actually had audits done. They've had the audits done from Certic, they had the audits done from Hacker. Now we know Certic audits aren't really useful, but the fact that they're actually getting audits is kind of cool. And the Hacken audit is actually a little bit better, so it did get a pretty decent score on there, which is good to see. And things we want to see are those sort of audit reports. At least it shows that they're going in the right direction. We have things that work. So this is the main thing I would kind of take away from their social, is it's kind of small. They're working on it, it looks like, but they're not super active. I wouldn't have a bunch of team members, but at the end of the day, they're probably a small team and don't want to all do that. That is something that I'll talk about in a little bit more in a second. Coming over, the links is where you're gonna find, again, the main portion of it. Oh, I did want to point to this radio. Yo, smash like if you remember Winamp. This is the throwback to Winamp. So Winamp right here, just smash like if you remember. I'm dating myself, but This is gonna take me way back to my childhood. So, and the tunes on here actually kind of slap. So something you should think about going over and checking out. But anyway, the links section in the start menu is really where you're gonna find the majority of places. So the vast majority of what they got here is basically places you can go get the Vidya token, which is, you know, your Quick and Swap, Dex Tools, CoinGecko is gonna show you sort of their pricing, same as CoinMarketCap. And Rarible and OpenSea are where you actually can go get some of their NFT projects. Now they have wearables for who are going to be the aimbot characters in platform. So you will be able to pick up some of those NFTs in there. But the Medium is really what I want to point to as being the main portion of their documentation up to this point. Kind of small. So let's start talking about some of the negatives that I come across with this. Kind of small as far as information from the team. They're a little bit newer of a team, which you can tell. They have got their foot, they're Solidity developers on the Ethereum network, so they are got their foot in the foot door, and they are putting out information as they can. Really the first one, these first two articles talking about it launching and how they're gonna go about it, and actually the development is the main method of how you're gonna find information about it. Now I would have put this up a little bit earlier on, but it's not as much as some bigger platforms, and I think they have more of the funding. But something I will know about the platform is even people inside of the Discord and even people inside of Twitter saying, yo, where's the marketing? Like, you guys aren't marketing. And the teams kind of come out and said, well, we're just working on it. We're not worried about market conditions and the token trade price and all that sort of stuff, which is a little bit of a concern from an investor standpoint. We want to see a team that understands that that's a huge portion of it, because even if you build an ecosystem, there's still going to be people who want to make money and not lose money. So it's something to be thought of. But something I wanted to point to was that they did have some pretty decent quarterly reports that they were putting out. Those have kind of stopped, it seems like, even though we are obviously in the first quarter, so there should be one coming out of this. I did think I read somewhere that there wasn't going to be much on to that point, and they actually do have their roadmap, which is really difficult to find, over on vidya.game. This is where you will find actually the most of their state of straightforward, this is what we're developing. And as you can see, there's the game in the background. I would have been playing this already for you, but this is really where a lot of the fluff around the development is. You can go through each one of these and kind of talk more about it. Most of it's marketing fluff. It really is just saying hey, this is what we're looking to do. It's stuff you kind of expect, right? The thing you want to be checking out here is going to be the roadmap. Boom, we want to start on our roadmap, and this is one of my concerning points. Last year, really nice, decent sized roadmap at least. We have a number of things that aren't ticked off, so they're still working on. We do see the ticks. It's kind of grayed out, which I don't know why. But we go on to 2022, and that's it. That's all they have on there. That's all they have in their roadmap. So I've talked about this before. I'm not a huge fan of platforms that necessarily don't have a massive roadmap into the future. I can appreciate a dumbed down one, but I don't like ones that are hey, we don't have any plan after aimbot. They literally have nothing after aimbot. I'm sure they do, but they just aren't telling us. So that's something to think about. Now let's talk about the team, because that is the part where the scams and the rug pulls come from. This is one of the most important parts, the weakest link in almost any project, and something you need to do your diligence and at least looking in, and at the end of the day, you are making a bit of a bet or a gamble on it, but you try to find people that align with your goals, or at least you feel is the least risky you can get into. The team we have here right off the bat is kind of undoxed, and we do have the two main guys here that have LinkedIns that you can actually go check out, which is a good place. And a few other members are got some Twitter profiles. It really seems like they're mostly pushing this actual project because they probably got a lot in it. And Grills is actually someone out there quite decently in the community, but he seems to be a big part of this project. So that would be something to be said. There is a bit of bias behind that. So when we click on our man, the CEO there, his partner, the Web3 developer, actually just takes us straight to the Web3 company, which we can see here part as this is the CEO owner. And it takes us, both those LinkedIns essentially lead us to this point. The Web3 builders, this is the main place where anything kind of goes into any actual extra stuff. 4 years, 10 months. You can see founder of Vidya Games, they've only been doing that for a little over a year, or basically 2 years. And then previously there was some other developer, he was doing that for a year. So there's a little bit of history, and I'm always gonna give someone a little bit of a pass when it comes to developing in the crypto space. It's a new space. Do you like to see longer progression of financial history, of development, web coding, full stack, anything in the background would be great on the major team players. But we know there's gonna be some young guys coming out and just crushing it in this space because they start right there. So that we can't really get too up in. All roads lead to this place as the final step in the team's sort of what they've done before. And really the CEO and the owner, that looks like this is probably their Web3 development company that they have in the background they've been using to develop. What I'll say about this is this reserver ETH actually looks like a failed NFT Ponzi scheme. Someone comment, let me know otherwise. Doesn't look good. Twitter failed. People even mentioning how it was a failure. FOMO Cube looks like it, same sort of vibe that it's got from the whole Team OS. FOMO Cube, same sort of thing. Not really trust what it is. Again, called FOMO Cube, but the project doesn't, the website doesn't work very well, and it's kind of failed, and nothing's loading properly. Brofist Coin's a meme coin. This is an experimental message board. Static Power also looked like a little bit of a failed sort of platform. The only thing here that actually caught my eye other than Team OS was shopping, this actual shopping IO. 90,000 followers on Twitter, and might be something I review down here in the future because I'm kind of curious what they're trying to do, because on the front page you don't get really exactly what it is. It's like, hey, you can buy stuff from Amazon and other platforms using cryptocurrencies easier. And I'm like, okay, well maybe it's like an interface, like a Chrome browser or something in there. But it seems to be the only project doing stuff outside that's actually doing well that we can connect their name to. So the reason I talk about all this is I'm not trying to put them down, and everyone has to work in directions. You have a million failures as any entrepreneur before you get it right, correct? And I have as many businesses I've done. I've failed a bunch of times and I've made successful a couple times. It's those few successes that are gonna be the wins that make up for all the losses, right? That we have to give them. But at the same time, it is something to look at and go, hey, I'm gonna give you some money potentially and buy into this token, and do I wanna go full gamble, or do I wanna properly vest it out? So it's something to think about. One thing, again, I will point to the social media platforms being the Twitter and the Discord. There is interaction with Grills, and who seems to be the largest member on Twitter there, who is active in the Twitter community and crypto space. There seems to be a little bit of interaction on the Discord. They're actually trying to answer questions about staking and the generator and how it works, which is good to see. But I haven't really seen any other interaction from the developers, which is very common in the crypto space. They don't really have time. They're trying to build games, but that roadmap stops at the game. I want to see a few of those pieces in there, and it might be something to try and actually reach out and see if I can get a little bit more feedback from them directly to talk about it. Maybe if we got an AMA or we got some updates, maybe one of those new Medium articles that would really say, hey, this is where we're at. These are the progressions we've made, because those last talks, those last quarterly earnings or quarterly sort of messages they put out on their Medium article are actually quite useful to look at. Okay, now we need to go ahead and talk about another major con, the tokenomics. So here we are looking at ETHScan, which we usually do on our project reviews, but we have to take this a little heavier. The blockchain analysis on this one is gonna be more weighted and telling us more, because we have no tokenomics. We have no other version of knowing where the bags are being held and who holds massive amounts of bags. And that's something you want to have an understanding of, because rug pools quite often are held by large wallets that can easily sell off massive amounts, causing the price to crash. So we have to look at this and give it more weight than we usually do. I usually glance at it and go, okay, cool, there's some smart contracts. That's a good sign in the right direction, assuming team, all these other things are good. But if you want to get a little deeper on something that you're not sure about, you're going to have to really look at this and pay more of attention. So noting the 2,200 wallet holders is something I talked about from the Discord. That hasn't fluctuated a lot, from some people have said, so that I'll have to take from the word of that person. And I am treated with something kind of okay at the first glance, is these smart contracts, even though we don't know what the contracts are. And in this case, if I was really gonna get vested into this, I would go deeper into those contracts, honestly, to find out how they're written, because I usually go, oh, they're contracts for probably the reward system. It's where it's supposed to pay out. You gotta remember the team made the contract. So it's always something to keep in the back of your mind. But there is my first sort of, not red flag, but something I'm really not super bullish on. And it is these large equal sums that are sitting there, no smart contract balance, just holding percentages of tokens. There's a number of team members, and we see another one down here for 500,000. There's a number of team members that may just have percentages that they have, which is no problem, and we've seen that before, but why not tell us? And if we actually click on, let's say, this biggest one here, you can see the transfers. It just had the money transferred in a couple years ago when this was probably made and minted, and it's sitting there ready to go. You could easily take this out and sell it on the market if they wanted to. And that's a big concern for me, because I don't know where they're coming from. Like I said, I quite often just glance at this very quickly and use it as a passive, because it's really hard to connect the person to the other side of it. But that right off the bat it's not necessarily a great sign, and it makes it very hard to really trust the project. Taking all that information we know about the on-chain analysis, let's move on to our final stop, the charts. This is really a great place for us to kind of make predictions, see where we've been, and see what we think the token is going to do. That said, we're sitting at 21 cents, which is one of those places that I like to see these smaller potential moonshots that, people don't understand market cap, usually play and FOMO into small percentages because they think they're getting more bang for buck. We can take advantage of that. It's always something I note. The market cap size is the next point I usually look at. We look at our market cap and we look at our fully diluted market cap and we go, gosh, those are awfully similar. And we move on over to circulating supply and see that 80% of our circulating supply is out there. We have a total of 50 million and we already see out there a potential 40 million. It has been verified. Again, I am at this point a little skeptical about all those numbers. I would imagine that CoinMarketCap has done their best diligence they can, but we have so much of the supply circulating out there. It's very hard for to have that supply and demand mechanism to apply to it to potentially drive this up higher. And honestly, we can kind of see that that might have had an impact on the chart down below. Now, this chart goes way back into late 2020. And honestly, this isn't a great chart to see because we had a bull run in there. If you do not remember, we saw some all-time highs. Now, some people were calling for higher all-time highs. That's all semantics and personal opinion, and who knows what the markets are gonna do. But we saw a lot of altcoins doing some insane numbers before. And I actually did the math between this and where it would have been sort of an early potential to a bull run here. It's all out of whack with its numbers. But even if we look at what you could have gained coming off of about 3 cents in here, so let's just call it 3 cents, even though it's closer to 4, and let's call this 40 cents. I think the top of this one ends up being about 40 cents. I did the math already. It ends up about 40 cents. It ends up being a 13x. That's not great for an altcoin that not many people have heard of. You want to see those things skyrocketing. Now, this could be something to point back to the marketing. Hey guys, you really got to get on there and get this out there. We really have 5,000 followers. This project really has no real following behind it. That's kind of scary, but at very least, I feel like there was a lot of people FOMOing into altcoins during those all-time highs in the alt seasons and just throwing money into things that just visually looked okay. So this isn't a great place. And maybe it was just enough people didn't like the fact that they didn't know where the money was, didn't know the team, or maybe it was just lack of marketing. But there's definitely some sort of a fail here, honestly, because we saw 2 major bumps from that all-time high, and right here, we're seeing nothing that kind of correlates with those same bumps. And that is a negative because we even saw coins making a debut during the all-time and still have some sort of a parabolic rally, getting 13x's. So that's not great. So from a standpoint of holding this and putting this in my pocket, I'm kind of gonna sit in the place of like, oh man, this isn't for me. I'm very bullish on what they've made and I would love to see that go somewhere. But from an investing, making money standpoint, I can't put this in my pocket. There's too many things that are kind of missing. I tried to give a review that was all the way through it with some just kind of like back and forth, but these numbers don't look great to me, and I want to see something that's going to sell me on the risk reward based on holding a no-name token. Like, come on, guys. Now, I don't want to leave you hanging, and I will give you a little bit of a price prediction based on where I think this could potentially go from here, based on what I have. Now, unless they start doing a huge turnaround during this bear market coming up and start to really develop something, we get the game, we get some other partnerships going on, I'm going to say this has the best 1-2 times in it, maybe 3 times. Let's say a 3x. It can get itself all the way up to 60 cents. That's a 3x from where we are now. That's about the best I see. This little altcoin run right here is not something crazy, and I could see this maybe going back up to 60 cents. And honestly, if it goes back up there, there's a good chance you may want to cash out. Not financial advice, totally an opinion, and you guys remember that. All right, guys, this is where I wrap this all up in a nice little bow for you and send you on your way. There are a couple of things that I'm really bullish on this project. I want to like it. I love the look. I think that landing page is hands down one of the nicest I've seen or most fun I've seen. The ecosystem, I think, has the potential to make it the long run as long as they get a few more partners involved to really drive people to start building on that platform. Obviously, they need to finish their project, but here's the biggest problem. We're talking about marketing and we're talking about the tokenomics not existing. Those are huge negative signs for me, and honestly one of the main reasons that I can't necessarily put this one in one of my bags. It needs to be open book here on a team and in a space where rug pulls and hacks happen all the time. Come on, guys, this is gonna be a no-brainer. You could make a massive studio here if you just played the game. Get your marketing out there and let people know about this project. Open the books a little bit and keep us informed. Those are no-brainers and musts, especially in a space when you're an altcoin in the degen space. It's a no-brainer from it. So that was my opinion. I want to know your opinion. This is the time where you guys drop a comment down below and you let me know what you thought. If you think I got it right, wrong, if you want to add to it. Hey, if you've got any of those pieces I was looking for, the tokenomics, any pieces you think I missed and they're right there, please let me know. I would love to take a second look at it. I'm ready to be bullish. I'm really ready to be bullish. This is the point where if you got any value out of this video, that you hit the like button, smash subscribe, and you hit those notifications. If at all you want to do any of that, it really does help the channel, and I appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and just remember, this isn't financial advice, it's just a